We have too many parallel lines. This entire surface right here is very undefined. This surface, I'm not sure what's going on. I can't read the lines here, what's happening. So I want to kind of define this more and have some fun and try to sharpen that up and kind of frame the grille in a better way. BMW has just released their updated versions of the BMW X3 and the X4 M Competition. And in this video, we're gonna have a look at the X3 M Competition here. I think BMW is a little lost. So we're going to talk about both the front and the rear in this video, by the way. But for the design of the updated X3 M, I think something is going on with BMW that I think they don't know what direction they want to actually move forward with their design, and specifically their graphic features, and it's more specifically than that, the front graphic features, and that just shows in the X3 M Competition here today. Subtle changes to this design right here is going to make a big difference. Just have a look at the first of all, this is the new rosy eye. This is the new X3 M Competition here, and it looks like it's so much going on in the front end of this car. We're also going to have a look at the rear end here in just a minute and talk about that one. But let's talk about focus on the front here first. So let's have a look at the 2020 X3 M Competition. This is a car that whenever I see this out on the streets, I always stop and admire how classy and elegant and beautiful this looks. There is a lot going on in the front here as well. It's nowhere near as busy as the new one. We still have the traditional M intakes here in the front end. So we have the middle intake here, traditional M intake, and the two small ones on the side going back to the E46 M3, for example, and the E39 M5. Both of them have these similar style intakes in the front. However, the intake in the middle here is angled this way in the E39 and the E46, and this is angled this way. But now we have that inverted this way. Details that I just want to bring up here. We have a little bit of some weird styling features here on this 2020 as well. For example, we have this line that just cuts into this intake here. So this is just some interesting surfacing on top of the actual air intakes on the side. And then we have lines going here. We have this line connecting weirdly with this line right here, and so on. So there are little details on the 2020 as well that doesn't seem like BMW has under control, but it gets a lot worse when we look at the 2021 here, and specifically the lower part of the front face, the bumper style of this car. And not only that, but we also have now these two grills here, these two kidneys are now connected with this black piece right here in the middle, as you can see, which kind of works. It's not a detail that I'm really bothered by. What I am bothered by is the line flow in the front, which is completely non-existent. So have a look at the different kinds of radiuses and squares and parallel lines that goes on all over this front. So I want to kind of explain why I think this design doesn't work, and instead of just saying that it's an ugly car, let's analyze this design and see what actually goes on here and what we can work on. So have a look at the headlights here, for example. We have some sort of rounded corners here that goes into a bit of a corner, sharper corner there, and then it goes back into this shape right here, goes back up into a corner in the front, and a slight radius here going back to a straight line. Very undefined. It doesn't inspire confidence when you look at this shape here. So this is a very organic shape. It looks almost like a cell or something like that if you just go by the outline of the headlights. So compare this very organic shape with all the parallel lines that goes on, for example, here. Then we have this line right here. There's actually a line here going in there, and then we have this line right here, and then these two lines creating another little chamfer down here, and that continues then in here and also with these lines right here. So we have a lot pointing down towards this face right here for some reason. It just all the lines here, they just point down to the middle center of the front end, and that makes it lack a lot of the dynamic feeling that we have on the 2020 here, where we have some line flow, and we don't have all of these lines just pointing down and forward to the ground like we have on the 2021 on Facelift. And on top of that, we have a lot more parallel lines here that just ruins the dynamic feeling of this front end. For example, this graphic big plastic piece right here, don't know why they decided to add, just smack a big plastic piece in the air side intake there that has this weird shape. And also here, not sure what kind of shape this is right here, and same of course on the other side. We have some irregularities there, and then they decided to cut the intake off inside of this black plastic piece and turn that into this shape. So there's a lot of weird, interesting shapes. I really want to hear the thought process behind these decisions to make these type of styling decisions to the front end, and especially going from this beautiful in comparison to the 2021 update right here. So what I want to do is try to fix this. I want to clean this up. We have too many parallel lines. This entire surface right here is very undefined. This surface, I'm not sure what's going on. I can't read the lines here, what's happening. So I want to kind of define this more and have some fun and try to sharpen that up and kind of frame the grille in a better way. The grille is a super sharp object graphically in the center of the car that doesn't have a great framing to it. It feels like it's a rock formation in the middle of a very calm, fluid ocean, which is this part right here around the grille. So we want to kind of support the grille better graphically and remove some of these weird pieces of plastic and radiuses that we have here. Remove those as well. Let's have a look at the rear end here. And for the lack of a better word here, I think the taillights of the X3 M Competition here, the first thing that popped into my head is they look very unorganized and almost vulgar to the look of the taillights specifically, and the graphic LEDs that we have in here. There is such a lack of harmony in this design, and it feels like it's under tension. That I don't know what it is. It just doesn't flow with the rest of the lines in the body here, and I'm not sure why they decided to add these type of taillights to and otherwise very fluid design. And the rear end in general looks a lot better than the front end for sure, graphically and the surfacing as well. And then you have these sharp angles of this taillight just messing with everything else and clashing 100% with their surrounding environment, and doesn't play along with everything that goes on around it. So what I want to do here is just simplify this, make it into something more elegant, more BMW, more stylish. It's something that has more confidence in its lines, and not have these weird angles. Is this supposed to be a circle there, or I'm not sure what's going on? But what I want to do is just simplify this and have it maybe go something like this. So we have the taillight being thicker here, and the LED inside getting thicker the farther out it goes. So the further this way we go, the thinner this LED light becomes, and it's the thickest at this part right here. So we have some dynamic feeling to this graphic design as well, and not just have it be the same width as it is right now. We have the same width, and on top of that we have it not feel fluid or harmonious or elegant at all. It just feels like it's under tension, and that it doesn't want to be part of the rest of the car, if that makes sense. So those are the changes that I want to do to the X3 M Competition here. Tiny changes, but I think it's going to be a good deal. And also want to show you the rear end of the 2020 and compare that to the rear of the new 2021. Something just feels like BMW. They don't really know where they want to take their designs, styling-wise and graphically specifically. The proportions of the car is still great. The proportions look like a good-looking small SUV. But on top of that, if you add these the harmonious sidelines, body lines, attach these graphics to those, it just doesn't really work. So let's continue here in Photoshop, and let's see how these tiny changes are going to transform the X3 Competition and hopefully make it a little easier on the eye. gonna quickly walk you through what just happened here in this quick restyling of the front first of all, and then we're gonna jump into the rear, talk about that, what happened there as well. But just have a look at the this part, for example, how messy this is when you have these two parallel lines here, this crease here, and on top of that adding this big plastic piece. So let's try and solve that problem by creating something simpler. So remove this line right here. We don't need these two parallel lines. Parallel lines in my book always reduce the automotive design feel and introduce a more product design feel, and we don't want that, specifically not in the face of the BMW X3. So let's create something more elegant and simple and not have too many parallel lines going on. So that's what I did right here. You can see there is no parallel lines here, and there is no massive plastic piece in the middle of that side air intake as well. On top of that, I wanted to define the headlights more than we have on the top right here. So you can see that this headlight design up here, as I said, it feels kind of undefined and a bit organic. So sharpen up this part right here and create this straight line right there, and also sharpen up some of the design features on the other side of that as well, while we create a more framed structure for the front, for the grille here. So I wanted to create something like this that goes here. You can see we have two lines going on right there to kind of frame the grille and also remove the intersection between the two kidneys, have it be as we have on the 2021 front end here. They be separated completely with some paint of the bodywork in the middle. And these angles here, I don't want to have all these lines pointing down like this. I wanted to reduce that and create some more interesting dynamic in the front end, and I did that by just covering these up and create a horizontal line here. This gives us almost a traditional M intake here that we have on the E46 and the E39 M5, for example, where we have a big intake in the front and two smaller ones on the side. Traditional M design, and not just some crazy lines and plastic pieces and everything, all a mess down here. You don't really know what's going on. So those are the tiny changes I wanted to do to the front end. Let's have a look at the rear end here. We have the original down here and the redesign up here, and I mean, it's of course up to it's all a matter of taste. But if you look at these two, which one would you like to buy, and which one do you think has the more calm rear taillight design that kind of fits the rest of the body? In my opinion, obviously, since I did the redesign, I'm gonna go with this design, because I think these taillights suit a BMW more. These taillights, they suit maybe a Hyundai or a Kia or something like that has in its tradition to overstyle some lines and create some crazy lines. You just look at the front lights of the Kia K5, for example, and now the new Sorento as well. So it's not BMW design in my opinion, this one, but this one right here is more of what I think a BMW taillight should be like. And then I also wanted to clean up some of the bottom parts right here. As you can see, I wanted to have this be more of a straight line, not have it be dip up and dip, a lot of mountains and valleys and stuff going on right here. But overall, the rear end of the car looks a lot better graphically than it does on the front end of the new X3 M Competition. So those are my analysis. I just saw this this morning, and I thought it's such a shame that BMW is creating these weird designs these days. I miss the BMW used to be the boss when it comes to just regular car front end end-to-end rear end design. I think the E39 M5 is probably one of the best looking sedan. It's probably top 3 best looking sedans of all time, both in proportions and graphically as well. And those traditional M graphics, it doesn't mean that we have to create the exact same thing all over again, but we want to retain the lines and the tradition of BMW and what it stands for. And BMW has always been about dynamic design, in my opinion, and this is just not that. Specifically, this graphic up here just doesn't work for me, and this is a little maybe better, I'm not sure, but in my personal opinion, I would probably redesign the entire lower part right here and not just work on the graphics here. But let me know what you think about the X3 M Competition here. Are you a fan of the 2021 right here, or do you prefer the 2020 right here? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.